In this video, we want to configure IntelliJ IDEA so that we can actually start some Java coding. This video is applicable whether you're running on Windows, Mac or Linux. So firstly, we need to associate the JDK we installed, Amazon Corretto 11, with IntelliJ IDEA so that they work together. Basically, that means telling IntelliJ where the JDK is installed on the computer. The JDK is effectively a software development kit or SDK. Whatever you call it, it contains the tools you need to write programs. The Java Development Kit includes the tools that enables the computer to understand your Java code and to execute it. It also has a debugger, and we'll be seeing what that is and how to use it when we've written a program to debug. Alright, so at the moment, when Projects is selected on the left, which it is at the moment, there's three buttons available. New Project is used to create a new project, which is the one we'll use shortly. Open will let you open a project that you created earlier so that you can continue working with it. If you use a version control system, such as Git, then the Get from VCS button will fetch a project from your version control system, hence VCS. But don't worry if you don't know what a VCS is, you won't use one until you've been programming for a while. But let's start off by clicking on the New Project button. This lets you choose which programming language you want to use. This is a Java course, so we're going to choose Java on the left-hand side, which should be the default selection, and you can see that it is for me. So notice on the right-hand side, it says no SDK. It's basically telling us that we don't have one configured yet. Now, if we come over here and click on the drop-down button, there is an option to download a JDK, but we don't want to do that because we've already done that in an earlier video. IntelliJ will most likely detect the JDK you installed earlier and show it here, and you can see it's showing it on screen there under Detected SDKs. So you could click on that, but I'm just going to click on the option to add JDK, which is what you do if that didn't show up. So from here, what I can do is just go to Program Files, and go to Amazon Corretto, into the JDK, and that's what we downloaded in the earlier video. And if I do that and then click on OK, you can see at the top there, Project SDK has now changed to Corretto 11, Amazon Corretto version 11.0.9, which is the latest version as of the time that I'm recording this video. So if the auto detect option doesn't work, you've still got an option to select the SDK. Now I had to go into the new project option to create the SDK because IntelliJ's new version of this IDE as of December 2020 no longer had the option to do this from the welcome screen, which is how we used to do it in the past. Now as it turns out, we're not going to create a new project just yet. So what I'm going to do in fact is cancel to get out of that. We're going to do some other configuration now before we get started in the next video on actually creating our first project. So what we want to do is now come over here and click on Customize. We're going to come down here to All Settings. Then from here, we want to come down and click on Editor. I'm going to click on General. I'm expanding the options so you can see there. I'm going to select Auto Import. It's highly recommended that you check both Add Unambiguous Imports on the fly and also Optimize Imports on the fly. Click on Apply. Then we're going to go down to Code Folding. I'm going to uncheck a few things here. And the reason we're unchecking some things here is IntelliJ IDEA is a professional editor meant to shortcut and make things easier for both beginners but also for experienced developers. With some of these default options, it effectively hides some of the source code, and when you're first learning Java, it's not a good idea to not see all the code. So we're going to come down here, I'm going to deselect imports. I'm going to deselect one-line methods. I'm going to deselect closures, this one here, and also generic constructor and method parameters. So in other words, I'm telling IntelliJ to show as much code as possible for those things, and you can always come back here later in the course if you need to and change that back, but it's probably something that's pretty useful for you to leave on. I click on Apply. All right, one other thing we need to do now is under Appearance here, we need to make sure that Show Line Numbers is checked. In earlier versions of IntelliJ, sometimes that wasn't checked, but you can see that it is checked by default, but if it's not checked for you, make sure you check it and click OK. Okay, then we can go back and check projects again. So notice that these three buttons may have moved to the top of the right pane. The main part of this pane will show you a list of all the projects you've created, which will make it much easier to open them again. But don't get too hung up on the position of these three buttons. That's the New Project, Open and Get from VCS. JetBrains moves things around from time to time, and you'll see that they're in a slightly different place in some of the videos in this course. Ultimately, that doesn't matter. When you see me click the New Project button, you'll know where to find it on your screen. As I say, it might be in a different place in the videos. Alright, so we're all set up now and ready to program. We'll make a start on that in the next video.